First contact. The vast expanse of space stretched out before Dr. Elara Chen as she guided her small exploration vessel through the asteroid belt of the Kepler 186 system. Her heart raced with excitement and trepidation. After years of searching, she was on the verge of making history. Kepler 186f, the outermost planet in the system, loomed ahead. Its reddish hue grew more prominent as Elara's ship approached. Known as Earth's cousin, due to its similar size and potential habitability, Kepler 186 had long been a subject of intense scientific interest. Now, Elara was about to become the first human to set foot on its surface. As her ship entered the planet's atmosphere, Elara's instruments began to pick up unusual readings. Energy signatures unlike anything she had ever seen before pulsed from a location near the planet's equator. Intrigued, she adjusted her course to investigate. The ship touched down on a rocky plain, kicking up a cloud of rusty dust. Elara donned her exosuit and stepped out onto the alien world. The landscape was barren and windswept, with jagged mountains looming in the distance under a dim, reddish sky. But it wasn't the scenery that caught her attention. There, half buried in the rust-colored soil, was a structure that defied explanation. Its smooth, iridescent surface reflected the dim light of Kepler 186's parent star, creating an otherworldly glow. Geometric patterns adorned its sides, too precise to be natural formations. "Mission Control, are you seeing this?" Elara's voice crackled over the comm system. "Affirmative, Dr. Chen," came the response from millions of miles away. "We're recording everything. Proceed with caution." Elara approached the structure slowly, her suit's sensors working overtime to analyze its composition. As she drew closer, she noticed a faint humming sound emanating from within. Suddenly, a section of the structure's surface began to shift and reconfigure, forming what appeared to be an entrance. It's reacting to my presence," Elara whispered, her voice filled with awe and disbelief. Before Mission Control could respond, a beam of light shot out from the entrance, enveloping Elara. She tensed, expecting pain or some form of attack, but instead felt a gentle warmth spreading through her body. In her mind, images began to form: stars, galaxies, and beings unlike anything she had ever imagined. I'm communicating with them," she gasped. "There's so much information." For what seemed like hours but was only minutes, Elara stood transfixed as the alien intelligence shared its knowledge. When the light finally faded, she staggered back, overwhelmed by the experience. "Dr. Chen, report. Are you all right?" The frantic voice of Mission Control snapped her back to reality. "I'm fine," she replied, her voice shaky. "But everything has changed. We're not alone, and we're in danger." Over the next few hours, Elara relayed what she had learned to the stunned team back on Earth. The artifact was a beacon, left behind by an ancient alien civilization known as the Araxians. They had seeded the galaxy with these beacons, hoping to make contact with other intelligent life forms. But the reason for this outreach was far from benevolent. The Araxians were fleeing from a terrifying force known as the Void Eaters, entities that existed outside of normal space-time, consuming entire solar systems and leaving nothing but emptiness in their wake. The Araxians had long since vanished, perhaps fallen victim to the very threat they sought to warn others about. But their message remained, a desperate plea for help and a warning of the impending doom that threatened all life in the galaxy. Light finally faded, she staggered back, overwhelmed by the experience. "Dr. Chen, report. Are you all right?" The frantic voice of Mission Control snapped her back to reality. "I'm fine," she replied, her voice shaky. "But everything has changed. We're not alone, and we're in danger." Over the next few hours, Elara relayed what she had learned to the stunned team back on Earth. The artifact was a beacon, left behind by an ancient alien civilization known as the Araxians. They had seeded the galaxy with these beacons, hoping to make contact with other intelligent life forms. But the reason for this outreach was far from benevolent. The Araxians were fleeing from a terrifying force known as the Void Eaters, entities that existed outside of normal space-time, consuming entire solar systems and leaving nothing but emptiness in their wake. The Araxians had long since vanished, perhaps fallen victim to the very threat they sought to warn others about. But their message remained, a desperate plea for help and a warning of the impending doom that threatened all life in the galaxy. As Ilara's report reached Earth, the implications of her discovery sent shockwaves through governments and scientific communities worldwide. Humanity, which had long wondered if it was alone in the universe, now faced a stark reality. Not only were they not alone, but they were also in grave danger. Emergency meetings were convened, and heated debates erupted in the halls of power. Some argued for keeping the discovery secret to prevent global panic, while others insisted on full disclosure. In the end, the truth was too big to contain. As news of the alien artifact and its dire warnings spread, humanity faced its greatest challenge. How could a species that had barely taken its first steps into space hope to confront a threat of cosmic proportions? Ilara, now back on Earth and hailed as a hero, found herself at the center of a whirlwind of activity. Her unique experience with the Araxian artifact made her invaluable in deciphering the vast amount of data transmitted during that brief contact. Working tirelessly with a team of the world's brightest minds, Ilara began to unravel the secrets hidden within the alien message. Star charts, technological schematics, and fragments of the Araxian language slowly began to make sense. But it was the final piece of information that gave humanity its first glimmer of hope. The Araxians had not been the only civilization to face the Void Eaters. Hidden among the stars were other species, some more advanced than humanity, others less so, and they too had received the Araxian warning. As Earth's greatest minds grappled with this newfound knowledge, a plan began to take shape. Humanity would need to reach out to these other civilizations to form an alliance unlike any in Earth's history. Only by standing together did they have any hope of facing the cosmic horror that threatened to engulf them all. Ilara stood before the United Nations, her heart pounding as she prepared to address the assembly. The fate of not just humanity, but countless alien civilizations now rested on her words. Distinguished delegates, she began, her voice strong despite her nerves, we stand at a crossroads. The path ahead is fraught with danger, but it also offers us an opportunity. An opportunity to prove that humanity is ready to take its place among the stars, to show that our spirit, our ingenuity, and our determination can overcome even the greatest of challenges. As Ilara spoke, screens behind her displayed images from the Araxian artifact, glimpses of alien worlds, advanced technologies, and the looming threat of the Void Eaters. The assembly listened in rapt attention, the gravity of the situation weighing heavily on every person present. We must act now, Ilara continued, her voice rising with passion. We must reach out to the stars, not in fear, but in hope. We must forge alliances with beings we have yet to meet, united by our common will to survive. And when the time comes, we must be ready to fight not just for our world, but for all worlds. As her speech concluded, a moment of silence fell over the assembly. Then, slowly at first, but building to a crescendo, applause filled the chamber. The decision was unanimous. Humanity would answer the call of the stars. In the days that followed, the world changed at a dizzying pace. Resources were pooled, old rivalries set aside, and a new sense of global unity emerged. The brightest minds and the most skilled individuals from every nation were brought together with a single purpose: to prepare humanity for its greatest journey. Ilara found herself at the heart of this monumental effort. Her expertise and her unique connection to the Araxian artifact made her an invaluable asset. As she worked tirelessly to unlock more secrets from the alien data, she couldn't help but feel a mix of excitement and trepidation. The first step was clear. Humanity needed to make contact with the nearest alien civilization mentioned in the Araxian records. According to the star charts, this species, known as the Zarquin, inhabited a planet in the Proxima Centauri system, Earth's closest stellar neighbor. As plans for the first interstellar expedition took shape, Ilara often found herself gazing up at the night sky. The stars that had once seemed so distant and unreachable now held the key to humanity's survival. And somewhere out there, the Void Eaters were coming. The fate of the galaxy hung in the balance, and humanity's greatest adventure was about to begin. The Alliance forms. The bustling activity at the newly constructed Lunar Launch Facility was a testament to humanity's determination. In the 2 years since Dr. Ilara Chen's fateful discovery on Kepler 186f, the world had united in an unprecedented effort to prepare for interstellar diplomacy and the looming threat of the Void Eaters. Ilara stood before a massive viewscreen, watching as the final preparations were made for humanity's first diplomatic mission to an alien world. The Starship Odyssey, a marvel of human ingenuity and reverse-engineered Araxian technology, gleamed in the harsh lunar light. Dr. Chen, it's time for the final briefing, announced Captain Maya Tanaka, the seasoned astronaut chosen to lead this historic mission. Ilara nodded, taking a deep breath to calm her nerves. As she followed Captain Tanaka to the briefing room, she couldn't help but marvel at how far they'd come in such a short time. The Araxian data had accelerated human technological progress by centuries, if not millennia. The briefing room was filled with a diverse group of experts, linguists, xenobiologists, diplomats, and soldiers. Each had been carefully selected for their skills and adaptability. As Ilara took her place at the front of the room, a hush fell over the assembled team. "Ladies and gentlemen," she began, her voice steady despite the weight of responsibility on her shoulders, "in a few hours we will embark on the most important journey in human history. Our mission is twofold: to establish peaceful contact with the Zarquin and to convince them to join our alliance against the Void Eaters." Ilara brought up a holographic display of her Zarquin homeworld, a gas giant's moon teeming with life. Based on the Araxian data, we know the Zarquin are an aquatic species with technology slightly more advanced than our own. They are described as curious and generally peaceful, but also fiercely protective of their independence. As the briefing continued, covering everything from first contact protocols to contingency plans, Ilara could sense the mix of excitement and apprehension in the room. They were about to leap into the unknown, carrying the hopes of humanity with them. Hours later, as the Odyssey broke free from lunar orbit, Ilara watched Earth shrink to a pale blue dot. The reality of their mission sank in. They were leaving behind everything they'd ever known, venturing into the cosmic unknown. The journey to Proxima Centauri, once an insurmountable distance, now took mere weeks thanks to the Araxian-inspired propulsion system. As they approached the Zarquin homeworld, tension aboard the Odyssey reached a fever pitch. "Unknown vessel approaching," announced the ship's AI, its calm voice a stark contrast to the crew's nervous energy. "Design matches Zarquin specifications from Araxian records." Captain Tanaka straightened her uniform. "This is it, people. First contact. Let's make humanity proud." The viewscreen flickered to life, revealing a being unlike anything they had ever seen. The Zarquin ambassador resembled a cross between an earth octopus and a bioluminescent jellyfish, its translucent body pulsing with patterns of light. "Greetings, beings of Earth," the Zarquin's words came through the ship's translation matrix. "We have long wondered if we were alone in the cosmos. It seems the answer has arrived at our doorstep." Over the next few days, a delicate dance of diplomacy unfolded. The humans shared their story, the discovery of the Araxian artifact, the warning about the Void Eaters, and their hope for an alliance. The Zarquin listened with growing concern. "We too have legends of World Eaters," the Zarquin ambassador revealed. "Ancient tales passed down through generations. We had dismissed them as myths, but your words give them new weight." As discussions progressed, Ilara found herself in awe of the Zarquin. Their society, built in the vast oceans of their moon, was a marvel of organic technology and harmonious living. Yet, for all their advancements, the threat of the Void Eaters loomed just as large for them. On the fifth day of negotiations, a breakthrough came. The Zarquin High Council agreed to join the alliance, offering their advanced biotechnology and vast knowledge of nearby star systems to the cause. As Elara prepared the official agreement for signing, an alarm blared through the ship. Massive energy signature detected at the edge of the system, the AI announced, its voice tinged with urgency. The view screen showed a terrifying sight, a swirling vortex of darkness, punctuated by flashes of eldritch energy. At its edges, the very fabric of space seemed to fray and dissolve. By the depths, the Zarquin ambassador gasped. The legends were true. The devourers of worlds have come. In that moment of shared terror, any lingering doubts or hesitations between humans and Zarquin vanished. Captain Tanaka turned to the ambassador, her face set with determination. "We stand together." The Zarquin's body pulsed with a resolute blue light. "We stand together." As alarms sounded across both human and Zarquin vessels, a flurry of activity erupted. The Alliance, forged in the face of cosmic horror, prepared for its first test. Elara found herself at the heart of the action, her knowledge of the Araxian data proving crucial as they formulated a defense plan. The Void Eater, for that was undoubtedly what they faced, seemed to pause at the edge of the system, as if surprised to encounter resistance. This hesitation gave the Allied forces precious time to coordinate their efforts. Zarquin ships, organic vessels that pulsed with bioluminescent energy, moved into formation alongside the Odyssey. Their advanced sensors probed the anomaly, seeking weaknesses. "The entity appears to be probing our defenses," reported the Zarquin tactical officer, its tentacles dancing over holographic controls. "It's unlike anything in our records." Ilara's mind raced, recalling fragments of information from the Araxian data. The Void Eaters feed on energy, she realized aloud. "Our weapons, our shields, they're all just food to it." Captain Tanaka turned to her, eyes sharp. "What are you suggesting, Doctor?" "We need to think unconventionally," Elara said, an idea forming. "The Araxians mentioned experiments with phase-shifted matter. If we could adapt that technology." The next hours were a blur of frantic work. Human and Zarquin scientists labored side by side, combining their knowledge in ways never before imagined. As the Void Eater began to move deeper into the system, consuming a distant comet, the Allies put their hastily constructed plan into action. A fleet of small, unmanned probes was launched, each carrying a payload of phase-shifted matter. As they approached the Void Eater, the cosmic horror seemed to recoil, unable to process or consume the out-of-phase particles. "It's working," Elara exclaimed, watching as the Void Eater's advance slowed, then halted. The entity, faced with something it couldn't devour, seemed confused. Its swirling form contracted, then began to retreat. A cheer went up across both human and Zarquin ships as the Void Eater disappeared back into the depths of space. The battle was won, but the war was far from over. In the aftermath, as the adrenaline faded, the true significance of what had transpired sank in. Humanity and the Zarquin had faced cosmic horror together and emerged victorious. The alliance, baptized in fire, had proven its worth. As Elara looked out at the assembled fleet, human and alien ships side by side, she felt a swell of hope. They had taken the first step towards safeguarding the galaxy, but she knew that greater challenges lay ahead. The Void Eaters would return, likely in greater numbers, and out there in the vastness of space, other civilizations awaited, potential allies in the fight to come. The journey had only just begun. As the Odyssey prepared to return to Earth, carrying news of their victory and the formalized alliance with the Zarquin, Elara couldn't help but feel a mix of pride and trepidation. They had achieved the impossible, but it was only the beginning. The stars beckoned, filled with both promise and peril, and humanity, no longer alone in the cosmos, was ready to answer their call. In the weeks that followed, preparation for the Andromeda mission consumed every waking moment. Crew selection was a monumental task, requiring individuals not just skilled in their fields, but also mentally and emotionally prepared for a journey that would take them away from everything they knew for years. Elara found herself at the center of this whirlwind of activity. Her unique experiences made her the natural choice to lead the scientific team aboard the Prometheus. But as she helped select her team members, a nagging doubt gnawed at her. Was she truly ready for this responsibility? The day of launch arrived with a mix of solemnity and excitement. The Prometheus, gleaming in the sunlight, stood ready on its launch pad. A crew of 500, a mix of humans and sea, prepared to embark on the greatest journey in the history of both their species. As Elara boarded the ship, she took one last look at the Earth below. It seemed so small, so fragile from this height. Everything she had ever known was on that blue marble, and she was about to leave it all behind. Having second thoughts stopped her. The voice belonged to Captain Zara Vega, the seasoned astronaut chosen to command the Prometheus. Her dark eyes held a mix of understanding and determination. Elara shook her head. No, just taking it all in. We're really doing this, aren't we? Zara nodded, a small smile playing on her lips. We are. And we're going to succeed. For them. She gestured towards Earth. As the Prometheus lifted off, breaking free from Earth's gravity well, Elara felt a surge of emotion. Fear, excitement, determination, all mixed together as they accelerated towards the stars. The journey to the edge of the Milky Way was not without its challenges. Navigating the dense star fields and avoiding detection by roaming void eaters kept the crew on constant alert, but it also brought moments of breathtaking beauty and scientific discovery. They encountered phenomena never before seen by human eyes: stellar nurseries where new stars were born, the remnants of ancient supernova explosions, and even a black hole binary system locked in an eternal cosmic dance. The Zarquin crew members proved invaluable, their innate understanding of space and advanced biotechnology complementing human ingenuity in ways that continually surprised and delighted Elara. Cultural exchanges flourished aboard the ship, with humans learning Zarquin bioluminescent communication and Zarquin becoming adept at human games and music. But as they approached the galactic edge, tension began to mount. They were about to enter the intergalactic void, a vast emptiness, unlike anything they had experienced before. The Prometheus would be truly alone, cut off from all support and communication. Elara stood on the observation deck, staring out at the thinning field of stars. Behind them, the spiral arms of the Milky Way stretched out in cosmic splendor. Ahead lay darkness, broken only by the distant smudge of light that was the Andromeda Galaxy. Quite a view, isn't it? The voice belonged to Dr. Yuki Tanaka, the ship's chief engineer and Elara's close friend. Makes you feel small. Elara nodded, her voice barely a whisper. And yet here we are, about to cross that void. Sometimes I wonder if we're being incredibly brave or incredibly foolish. Yuki placed a comforting hand on Elara's shoulder. Why not both? It's the foolishly brave who make history after all. Their moment of reflection was interrupted by the ship-wide announcement system. All hands, prepare for void transition. I repeat, prepare for void transition. As the Prometheus engaged its experimental void drive, designed to navigate the unique challenges of intergalactic space, Elara felt a shiver run down her spine. They were leaving behind everything they knew, venturing into a darkness deeper than humanity had ever faced. The stars seemed to stretch and then vanish as the ship entered the void. On the main view screen, the Milky Way receded, becoming just another point of light in the cosmic ocean. Ahead, Andromeda grew slowly larger, a beacon of hope in the darkness. But as they settled into their long journey, alarms suddenly blared throughout the ship. Unknown entities detected, the A's voice rang out, tinged with urgency. Elara rushed to the bridge, her heart pounding. On the view screen, she saw something that defied explanation. Massive, shadowy forms moved through the void, their shapes constantly shifting and reforming. They were unlike any Void Eater they had encountered before, and they were heading straight for the Prometheus. Captain Vega's voice cut through the chaos. "We need a plan now. Dr. Chen, you're our expert on both the Araxian tech and these cosmic horrors. What do you suggest?" Ilara's mind raced, piecing together everything they had learned. The phase-shifted matter, the void paths, the cosmic seed. Suddenly, it all clicked into place. "We need to lure them in," she said, her voice growing stronger as the plan took shape. "Use the Prometheus as bait. If we can get enough Void Eaters in one place, we might be able to generate the energy needed to activate the seed." "And how do we do that without being devoured ourselves?" Yuki asked, her tone a mix of skepticism and hope. Ilara turned to the Sentinel. "Your people, the Custodians, the Zarquin, can you modify your ships with our phase shift technology? If we can exist on the same wavelength as the Void Eaters, we might be able to survive long enough to spring the trap." What followed was a frantic race against time. As the Void Eaters rampaged across Andromeda, a desperate plan was put into motion. Ships from a dozen species, united in their fight for survival, were outfitted with hybrid technology that allowed them to dance on the edge of reality. The Prometheus, repaired and enhanced with Sentinel technology, led the charge. Ilara found herself at the heart of the operation, coordinating the efforts of beings from two galaxies as they prepared to face the greatest threat any of them had ever known. As they engaged the Void Eaters in a battle that stretched across the stars, Ilara couldn't help but marvel at how far they had come. Humanity, once confined to a single world, now stood shoulder to shoulder with beings of unimaginable power and wisdom, fighting for the fate of all existence. The plan worked better than they could have hoped. The Void Eaters, drawn by the tantalizing energy of so many phase-shifted ships, converged on their position. The fabric of space-time itself seemed to warp and buckle under the strain. "Now," Captain Vega ordered. Ilara activated the cosmic seed, channeling the combined energy of their allies and the Void Eaters themselves into the ancient device. The universe seemed to hold its breath. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, with a flash of light that outshone galaxies, reality itself began to shift. The Void Eaters writhed and twisted, their forms warping as the fundamental laws of physics were rewritten around them. Ilara felt a searing pain course through her body as the energy of the seed flowed through her. She saw glimpses of other realities, of paths not taken and futures yet to be. And through it all, she held onto a single thought: hope. When the light faded and the pain subsided, Ilara found herself on the bridge of the Prometheus, surrounded by her friends and allies. Outside, the Void Eaters were gone, replaced by swirling nebulae of newborn stars. "We did it," Yuki whispered, her voice filled with awe. "We actually did it." The celebration that followed was unlike anything in the history of either galaxy. Species that had been bitter enemies found common ground in their shared survival. The barriers between dimensions had been weakened, opening up new avenues of exploration and cooperation. As for the crew of the Prometheus, they found themselves hailed as heroes across two galaxies. Their journey had changed them, opened their eyes to the true wonders and terrors of the cosmos. Ilara stood on the observation deck of the Great Sentinel Station, watching ships from a dozen worlds come and go. The cosmic seed, its power spent, had become a symbol of the new intergalactic alliance. "Quite a view, isn't it?" Captain Vega said, joining her at the window. "Hard to believe it all started with one artifact on a distant world." Ilara nodded, a smile playing on her lips. "We've come so far, and yet, I can't help but feel this is just the beginning." As they stood there, watching the birth of a new era of cosmic cooperation, Ilara knew that whatever challenges the future held, they would face them together. Humanity had found its place among the stars, not as conquerors, but as partners in the greatest adventure of all, the exploration of the infinite cosmos. The end, or perhaps just the beginning. As Captain Vega barked out orders and the crew scrambled to battle stations, Ilara realized with a mix of terror and exhilaration that their journey had only just begun. The void between galaxies, it seemed, held dangers beyond their wildest imaginations. The Prometheus, carrying the hopes of 2 galaxies, plunged deeper into the unknown, its crew united in their determination to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The fate of countless worlds now rested in their hands. A new era dawns. The Prometheus erupted from the void path, alarms blaring and systems flickering. The ship groaned under the stress of its interdimensional journey, but held together, a testament to human and Zarquin engineering. As the crew regained their bearings, the vastness of Andromeda stretched out before them. Ilara's breath caught in her throat at the sight. They had done it. They had crossed the gulf between galaxies. But there was no time to celebrate. The void path collapsed behind them with a flash of energy, and with it their way home. They were truly alone now, in a galaxy far from their own. "Status report," Captain Vega demanded, her voice steady despite the tension evident in her posture. "Multiple systems damaged, but we're holding together," Yuki reported from engineering. "Void drive is offline. We won't be making another jump like that anytime soon." Zilith, the Zarquin science officer, pulsed with concern. "Captain, I'm detecting multiple energy signatures converging on our position. They don't match anything in our database." On the view screen, sleek vessels of an unknown design appeared, surrounding the Prometheus in a display of both power and curiosity. Their hulls seemed to shimmer with an inner light, defying conventional physics. "We're being hailed," the communications officer announced. Captain Vega straightened her uniform. "This is it, people. First contact in a new galaxy. Let's make it count." The view screen flickered to life, revealing a being of such otherworldly beauty that it took Ilara's breath away. It appeared to be made of living crystal, its form constantly shifting and refracting light in mesmerizing patterns. Travelers from beyond the void, the being's voice resonated in their minds rather than their ears. "We are the Sentinels. Your arrival was foreseen." Ilara stepped forward, her scientific curiosity overriding her awe. "You knew we were coming. How?" The Sentinel's form shimmered in what might have been amusement. "Time is not as linear as you perceive it to be. But come, there is much to discuss and little time to do so." The Prometheus was escorted to a massive space station that dwarfed anything humanity had ever constructed. As they docked, Ilara couldn't shake the feeling that they had stepped into a realm of science so advanced it bordered on magic. The Sentinels, it turned out, were not just guardians of Andromeda, but self-appointed protectors of the cosmic balance. They had been fighting the Void Eaters for eons, across multiple galaxies and dimensions. "The weapon you seek," the lead Sentinel explained as they walked through corridors that seemed to defy Euclidean geometry, "is not a device of destruction, but one of creation." They were led to a chamber at the heart of the station. At its center floated a sphere of swirling energy, pulsing with colors beyond human perception. "This is the cosmic seed," the Sentinel intoned. "It has the power to rewrite reality itself, to create new universes or reshape existing ones. It is the antithesis of the Void Eater's entropic nature." Ilara's mind reeled at the implications. "But how do we use it?" The Sentinel's form darkened. "That is the challenge. The seed requires a tremendous amount of energy to activate, more than even we can safely generate, and its use comes at great cost. Whoever wields it may not survive the process." A heavy silence fell over the group. The fate of not just their galaxy, but potentially all of existence, rested on their shoulders, and the price of victory might be higher than any of them had imagined. But there was no time to debate. Alarms blared throughout the station, and the view screen showed a terrifying sight. The Void Eater that had attacked the Nexus had followed them through the collapsing void path, and it had brought reinforcements. "They're attacking multiple points across the galaxy simultaneously," Zilith reported, his tentacles dancing over the holographic displays. "It's a full-scale invasion."